And since the series was fairly long, he had to find some way of distributing these images of his in a mental row of sequence. Wrote Luria. Most often he would distribute them along some roadway or street he visualized in his mind. When he wishes to commit something to memory, S would simply take a mental stroll down Gorky Street in Moscow, or his home in Trozak, or some other place he'd once visited, and install each of his images at a different point along the walk. One image might be placed in the doorway of a house, another near a street lamp, another on top of a picket fence, another in a garden, another on the ledge of a store window. All this happened in his mind's eye effortlessly, as if he were placing real objects along a real street. If asked to memorize those 7 words, beer, drug, college shoe, drama, garbage, and watermelon, he would conjure up an image associated with each of them and scatter them along one of his many mental paths. When S wanted to recall the information a day, month, year, or decade later, all he would have to do was rewalk the path where that particular set of memories were stored, and he would see each image in precise shot where he originally left it. When S did, on rare occasions, forget something, these omissions were not defects of memory, but were in fact effects of perception, wrote Luria. In one instance, S forgot the word pencil, aimed a long list of words that he was supposed to have remembered. He forgot the word pencil amid a long list of words that he was supposed to have memorized. Here is his own description of how he forgot it. I put the image of the pencil near a fence, and I put an image near the fence, the one down the street. But what happened was that the image fused with that of the fence, and I walked right on fast without noticing. On another occasion, he forgot the word egg. I had put it up against a white wall. It blended in with the background. He explained, S's memory was a beast that indiscriminately gobbled up everything it was fed, and had trouble disgorging those pieces of information that were too trivial to be worth keeping. The greatest challenge S faced was learning what Luria called the art of forgetting. The rich images that every sensation created proved frustratingly indelible. He experimented with different techniques to wipe them from his mind. He tried writing things down with the hope that he would no longer feel the need to remember them. When that didn't work, he tried burning the piece of paper, but he could still see numbers hovering above embers. Eventually, he had an epiphany one evening. While feeling particularly pestered by a chart of numbers he had earlier memorized, he figured out the secret of forgetting. All he had to do was convince himself that the information he wanted to forget was meaningless. If I don't want the chart to show up, it won't, he exclaimed. And all it took was me to realize this. One might assume that S's vacuum cleaner memory would have made him a formidable journalist. I imagined if I could only take notes without taking notes and have at my fingertips every fact I'd ever digested, I'd be immensely better at my job. I'd be better at everything. But professionally, S was a failure. His newspaper gig did not last long, and she was never able to hold down a steady job. He was, in Luria's estimation, a somewhat anchorless person, living with the expectation that at any moment something particularly fine was to come his way. Ultimately, his condition made him unemployable as anything but a stage performer, a theatrical serial like the menomist of Alfred Hitchcock's The 39 Steps. The man with the best memory in the world simply remembered too much. In his short story, Funes, the Memorials, George Louis Borges described a fictional version of S, a man with an infallible memory who is crippled by an inability to forget. He can't distinguish between the trivial and the important. Borges' character, Funes, can't prioritize, can't generalize. He's virtually incapable of general platonic ideas like S. His memory was too good, perhaps. As Borges concludes in his story, it is forgetting, not remembering, that is the essence of what makes us human. To make sense of the world, we must filter it. To think, Borges writes, is to forget. Well, S' capacious memory for facts seems almost unbelievable. He was in fact taking advantage of a well-developed spatial memory we all possess. If you visit London, you'll occasionally cross paths with young men, and less often women, on motor scooters, blithely darting in and out traffic while studying maps. A fixed to their handlebars. These studious cyclists are trained to become London cab drivers before they can receive accreditation from London's public carriage office. Cabbies in training must spend 2 to 4 years memorizing the locations and traffic patterns of all 25,000 streets in a vast and vastly confusing city, as well as the locations of 1,400 landmarks. Their training culminates in an infamously daunting exam called the Knowledge, in which they not only have to plot the shortest route, any 2 points in the metropolitan area, but also name important places of interest along the way. Only about 3 out of 10 people who train for knowledge obtain certification. In 2000, a neuroscientist at University College London named Eleanor Maguire wanted to find out what effect, if any, all that driving around the labyrinth streets of London might have on the cabbie's brain. When she brought 16 taxi drivers into her lab and examined their brains in an MRI scan, she found one surprising and important difference. The right posterior hippocampus, a part of the brain known to be involved in special navigation, was 7% larger than normal in the cabbies. A small but very significant difference. Maguire concluded that all of that wayfinding around London had physically altered the gross structure of their brains. The more years a cabbie had been on the road, the more pronounced the effects that the brain mutable organ effect. The brain is a mutable organ, capable within limits of recognizing itself and readapting to new kinds of scenarios. Input a phenomenon known as neuroplasticity. It had long been thought that the adult brain was incapable of spawning new neurons, that while training caused synapses to rearrange themselves, the new link between brain cells to form the brain's basic anatomical structure was more or less static. Maguire's study suggested the old inherited wisdom was simply not true. After her groundbreaking study of London cabbies, Maguire decided to turn her attention to mental athletes. She teamed up with Elizabeth Valentine and John Wilding, author of academic monograph Superior Memory, to study 10 individuals who had finished near the top of the World Memory Championship. They wanted to find out if the memorizers' brains were like the London cabbies, structurally different from the rest of ours, or if they were somehow just making better use of memory abilities that we all possess.